Today is Thursday, August 29, 2019. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, telling the story of 1619 to 2019 through the eyes of black people. We will talk to the woman who's over the effort in Virginia to focus on 400 years of people of African descent in America. In Mississippi, a voting machine won't allow voters to choose who they want to vote for. Is this a problem in other states in 2020? Also, and being accused of CNN of choosing who they want to be the front runner of the 2020 race. Also, ABC has set the 10 candidates who will participate in the debate on September 12th at Texas Southern University in Houston. Will tell you who they are. Plus, a North Carolina man avoids jail time for punching a black teen in the face. And another white supremacist attack stopped just in time. Also, remember when Angela Davis had the award rescinded in Alabama? Well, guess what? Now they're going to give her the Fred Shuttlesworth Award. I'll give you those details as well. And Dave Chappelle has got folks all upset and in their feelings with his new Netflix comedy special, Sticks and Stones. The question we're going to ask is, have we gotten so sensitive that comedians can't criticize or crack on anybody? Well, I can't wait to see what y'all think. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling.
All right, folks, a governor is apologizing for blackface. No, not in Virginia this time, Alabama. Go to my iPad, please. Governor Kay Ivey, the governor of Alabama, is apologizing for a blackface skit that took place when she was in college. A few months ago, a photo surfaced of her and her sorority sisters wearing blackface. This time, though, this is, of course, it was a radio interview, and she's now apologizing for it when she was a student at Auburn University. If you can go to my iPad, this is AL.com. They, of course, they are the newspaper there, and so you see this huge story. A governor's apology. Kay Ivey faces her past, and so she said it's not reflective of course where she stands today and her views, but she said it certainly happened, and she said it was a mistake. Really? This, of course, is important because when we talk about the history of this country, when we deal with the issues of race, this speaks to exactly who we are. Our panel today, Dr. Greg Carr, Chair of the Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University, Deshandra Jefferson, Principal with the Rabin Group, and Joseph Williams, Senior Editor for U.S. News and World Report. Folks, it's interesting when you see, of course, this happening here in terms of her apology. Also, I want to tie it to a second story, which deals with Angela Davis. And that is, of course, remember the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute? They said that they rescinded the Fred Shuttlesworth Award that was going to go to her for her work, but it got all kinds of drama, led to several board members resigning. Well, guess what? Now she is going to be accepting the award. Again, this is in Alabama. And so this is the quote from the president and CEO of the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. Looking ahead, the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, where a judge is freeing a black man who is 58 years old, who served 22 years in prison
$50
for stealing $50 because they pretty much had a 3 strikes rule. Okay, he had 2 previous crimes. In those crimes, nobody was hurt. Small amount was stolen. But again, for Alabama, oh no, you're going to prison. That free labor, that peanut system.
Yes.
All of these things are all tied together.
Absolutely.
And when we allow them to separate that from that, from that, from that, what happens is all of these things that tie to race become so disconnected that black folks walk around believing they're disconnected.
No question.
When I'm supposed to say, no, They're all connected.
That's right.
They're just simply all outgrowth of the exact same system that birthed all of this.
But I also feel with blacks, we don't also, and I'm going to say this, I was raised deep with respectability politics from parents who grew up in Jim Crow, Mississippi. It's like we are almost separating ourselves. You know, if we adopt the language of the white man, if we straighten our hair, if we do this, if we're the good black, this isn't going to impact us. And there is a belief in our community, we have to own this.
Oh, sure.
That someone, you know, well, he deserved it. You know, he did 3 strikes. He did. And that's one thing in our community I feel that we've got to stop. We've got to own that not all this is about individual responsibility. There are systemic, you know, there is systemic oppression in our nation that has kept us down. But we're starting to buy into this.
But Joe, the thing I think that we have too, there are a lot of young activists who talk, especially with Black Lives Matter, often talked about respectability politics. And I understood their point, but I also believe that what has to happen is we also have to, I believe, step back sometimes and go, okay, I can look at something wearing 2019 shoes, but I really need to also look at some things wearing 1959 shoes.
Absolutely.
Because if we don't do that, what a lot of people don't understand is black folks in 49 and 59, even in 69, in southern states, there were 2 choices, live or die.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that is a stark difference that nobody really understands. And I was in Aberdeen, Maryland over the weekend because I'm doing a project on my parents' school, Havre Grace Colored High School, established in 1910. Right? And everybody knows the history of education in America where, you know, separate but equal, it's really separate but unequal, and that it's that Brown v. Board, 1954, I believe, that was supposed to make everything equal and it all went away. That's not true. I mean, and the thing that I learned most sharply is that my parents' school started in 1910. One-room schoolhouse, the only public education you could have for miles around. Right, and they established this school 1910 on, and it was something that they had to deal with adversity, live or die, get educated or not educated, and the very existence of this school was to prove that black people cared about education, you know, to dispel a white myth. But the fact that Brown v. Board happened in 55, that school did not desegregate until 1965. So even though you had this landmark ruling, you had this echo that lasted almost another generation before the schools were really equal and integrated. And to me, that's a perfect example of what you're talking about, where we have a historical context. Everybody's talking about Brown v. Board. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody's suggesting that it was the thing, at least in the white community, that it was the thing that helped solve and put us on equal footing. But it really wasn't.
Everybody also forgot there were 2, the Brown 1 and Brown 2.
Brown 2, yeah.
Greg, go ahead.
I was going to say, you know, Joe, to Roland's point, this politics of respectability that you talk about, I bet you at the Havre Grace Colored School, just like all segregated black schools, most of them, the parents, the community that sent those children to those schools made sure that their clothes were clean,
Absolutely.
even if it was one pair of pants. We didn't lose that because of desegregation. We have to understand that our people came out of enslavement. To Roland's point, there's a new book out called Repair by Catherine Franke. We got 1,200 freshmen reading it at Howard this semester. Right after enslavement in places like Davis Bend, Mississippi, where Jefferson Davis's oldest brother had that plantation. Port Royal, the Port Royal experiment, Sea Islands of South Carolina. Black people coming out of enslavement, when given a crack of time and space, began planting corn and potatoes, began trying to put a little money together they got from their wages from the union to buy land. In other words, we always knew how to build community. What we didn't get after that, as Roland talks about during Reconstruction, the federal government betrayed those black people in those 2 areas and their wealth by not allowing them to be paid in land for the reparation for enslavement. And so we have to this day, because we've never had that foundation, we found ourselves not just cash poor, but land and resource poor, and you can never close a gap.
Matters.
Well, this is the point. That's what I'm saying is that as Roland went through that history, you went through that history, brother, when we've had a moment to ourselves, we've always been respectable. It wasn't about respectability in other people's eyes. We've always built that bulwark. And as you say, in Alabama, KIV has power. There's political power. But we've got enough black people. We saw it when they put Doug Jones. Those black women really organized and put Doug Jones in the Senate. Now you got a guy like Tommy Tuberville saying he's going to run. He was the former football coach at Auburn. To your point, we have to think as a collective. In Alabama, It's not enough for a black kid who runs fast to play for Auburn football and create an argument in the black community whether we should vote for a football coach. If he's a Republican, he's in the party of white supremacy in Alabama.
Amen.
And we have to now leverage the same respectability we showed ourselves as a collective to wield it against white supremacy. Kay Ivey shouldn't be the governor of Alabama. And in a minute, she won't be able to win an election.
But see, you're doing that against a system that is built to oppress.
That's true.
I mean, we're
That's
talking
true,
about
brother.
Voting Rights Act. We're
Yeah.
talking about Alabama was the leader. Shelby Revert.
Yep.
Alabama is no accident.
Voting rights,
I mean,
yeah.
it's no accident.
But I can't, but I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna pull my guest in about 30 seconds. But I still go back to a basic and fundamental premise that I have that's on all these issues. What is required in Black America today is an absolute deprogramming and reprogramming.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Because to your point about the respectability piece, I totally understand, and I don't begrudge anybody black who says play the game so you can live. But when we still are playing the respectability politics and is actually hurting us, that's the difference. And I think when I talk about this deprogramming and reprogramming, it's and one of the things when King gave his speech, and it was one of the speeches where he talked about and he in Chaos or Community he talked about it as well. He talked about Emancipation Proclamation and writing your own, and a lot of people, and because he talked about black love. And a lot of people don't hear that King because we have placed King in this totally different context. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and in a second, and I'm gonna play this because for folks who haven't heard it, I think what it does is it also forces us to hear what he's saying when he's talked about writing your own Emancipation Proclamation. So go to my iPad, please.
Come here tonight and plead with you. Believe in yourself and believe that you're somebody. And as I said to a group last night, nobody else can do this for us. No document can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. No Kennysonian or Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, he must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation. Don't let anybody take your manhood. Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. There's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
Bring in Dr. Kalita Nichols Fairfax. She heads up the 2019 commemoration of the first African landing in Virginia. She joins us right now. Dr. Fairfax, how you doing?
I'm great, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. I wanted to take this and segue into you because, again, it's one thing to have events
Right.
commemorating what took place. But I believe, and that's why one of the things that we're going to be doing is that we're going to have this segment every week where we are unpacking 1619 to 2019, because I think we have to reframe this in a much different way to really get people to understand the depths by which race has impacted this country, and how we have been degraded, but also how we have to have a reprogramming of ourselves. And I think doing this is a part of that reprogramming effort, because frankly, there are a whole bunch of black people who are walking around, and I'm sure Greg knows it when students come into his class. I experienced it when I was in the African American Studies class with Dr. Broussard at Texas A&M. There's a whole bunch of black folks who are utterly clueless about our own history in this country.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the 1619-2019 commemoration, which took place in Hampton, Virginia, was about recognizing, paying homage to those Africans who disembarked the ship White Lion, which landed at Point Comfort, present-day Hampton, and not the Jamestown settlement, which had always carried the credit for African people stepping off the boat there. I think it's really important, however, that we start at the beginning, as I've always told people when we've been working on this commemoration, that African people were seafaring African. We explored. We were involved in the discovery of other cultures. We were the ancient people. You know, Malians were seafaring African. We know that there were Africans who also explored what is called Central America now and South America. We know there were Africans who settled in present-day St. Augustine, Florida. So I think it's incredibly important that we do not start the African story 1619. 1619, however, carries a particular connotation for the settler colony, which would become America, because Virginia was a colony and Florida wasn't. And so hence we have Africans disembarking the ship White Lion at Point Comfort and then walking into an English-trained paradigm. So I think that's really significantly important to highlight.
And what do you plan on doing? Or do you have things planned for the course of the year, going beyond just that moment last week?
So, thank you. So the state has a commemoration commission. The city of Hampton, which I co-chair, is a commemoration commission. And we do not have, moving forward, planned activities. It really is going to be up to the public to come together to continue with a cultural reckoning. And so the commemoration, which occurred last weekend, was a conglomeration of the National Park Service, City of Hampton, a grassroots organization, Project 1619, and the state. I think, though, it's important as we move forward that we engage more critically with discussions with regards to our cultural reckoning, and then keeping the focus on our African ancestors. It's not just about the birth of America, and that's the way, unfortunately, that the state has framed the commemoration. It is about coming to terms with our Africanity and understanding African culture as we move forward and reclaiming who we are as people of Africa.
Well, and I think it's obviously the impact we've had on this country, but I think it would be absolutely ludicrous for folks not to deal with the negative impact, what it has meant, not just to those first 20 odd Africans, not just to the millions who came after that, but really how there was a clear and precise systemic degrading, demoralizing, and destruction, physically and mentally, of people of African descent. And one of the reasons why we're going to do this weekly segment, for instance, I don't think people understood that initially through the research, black people were initially allowed, there were no issues with voting. But that was a decision that was made later. Folks who were African descent, there were folks who were actually reading for those laws. And so I think so we're going to be walking folks through that history to get them to understand that this is the actual history, not his story. And that's why I think, look, again, we can spend the next 400 years unpacking that, but too many of us are walking around, to me, completely unarmed with the right information to combat what's happening present day. Your final thoughts?
You are absolutely correct. I think, though, it's also important to note that with 1619, we find what John Henry Clark has taught us, the birth of a plantation-based, race-based civilization that the world had never known. This is incredibly important. 1619 is the start of an American brand of racism, an American brand of white supremacy, and it has untold discussions that we should funnel around what really happened to those Africans after they were here. So many of them, we don't know what occurred to them. That should resonate with us. I think we should also be clear that all the focus is around this woman named Angela, who disembarked as second ship treasurer, and she was taken to the Jamestown settlement, and we have no idea what happened to her. She was by herself. So we can make parallels between 1619 and today. We do need fuller discussions. We need fuller training discussions. I think your work, Mr. Martin, is completely important. I do hope you will have this discussion every week, because there needs still to be a commemoration of our own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We certainly appreciate all the work that you've done. We're going to do that. So if there are folks you want to send us their names, do so, because, again, we're going to do it every week. And what the hell is my show? If I want to do it twice a week, I can do that, too.
That's right. And I appreciate the opportunity to serve. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Back to our panel just for a few more minutes of this. Again, when you take, again, I go back to you take the blackface and Governor Kay Ivey. When you take laws that have been signed, when you take what's happening in Florida where we use the power of the ballot to get Amendment 4 passed, and the Republicans still try to come up with another way to deny folks formerly incarcerated the right to vote. When you look at folks who were Jewish, who were critical of Angela Davis and blocked a black Civil Rights Institute from awarding a black woman, a native of Birmingham, with that award, it's also important for us to understand how we also maximize our power. And when I hear people say, well, Roland, you keep talking about voting, I say it's not just voting. It's what we do after the vote. It's not just getting the Civil Rights Institute built. It's then what do we do after it's built? It's not just saying, oh, my God, it's great and wonderful at the Smithsonian. National Museum of African American History and Culture is the most trafficked museum of all Smithsonian museums. But the question then becomes, what is happening on the other end of Capitol Hill? And are we trafficking at that museum, then leaving that and dealing with the people who are representing us in the halls of Congress?
Absolutely.
I think it's pushing us to, again, expand our boundaries, to understand that there's so much work to be done and somebody has to do it.
And I wish you included Obama in there, because people acting like, once we get Obama, everything is going to be rosy and rainbows and kittens everywhere. But there was still work to be done. It's not just about electing one person. You've got to hold him or her accountable. It's about not allowing your vote to be taken for granted. I am a hardcore Dem, but I'm not going to just give you my vote because you have a D in parentheses on the ballot box. I want to hear you speak to my issues. I want to hear you take my community seriously. Absolutely. I want you to know that you have to work just as hard for my vote as you have to for the so-called white working class that abandoned us for Trump.
No, you're right. I mean, Sister Jefferson, you said it earlier. I mean, we have to take some responsibility in this. I mean, we have to begin to think collectively. The psychologist Wade Nobles once said, power is the ability to define reality and have other people accept your definition as if it were theirs. So, I mean, individuals, not only do we have to convince you for your vote, we have to convince the blocks of our people. I mean, nothing happens in Civil Rights Birmingham, nothing happens with Shuttlesworth and King, if not for the organization of the Montgomery Improvement Society, Montgomery Improvement Association, and the black women like, Joanne Robinson and them down at Alabama State. Nothing happens in Alabama if not for the Selma Equal Voting Rights League and the people like the Boyntons, Amelia Boynton, who just passed away at 104 years old. Individuals can make some change, but it is collective people that make change. And if we can get that hard reset you talk about, Roland, what Kalita has said really will come to pass. We will rethink, and then we can move collectively.
Joseph, we discussed it yesterday. We can discuss it again. Montgomery, 60% black. They've never had a black mayor.
Wow.
Hopefully.
No, first of all, we had it yesterday, but even with that, there were like 10 black people running.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, no.
So the reality is that black folks could have actually elected a black mayor without a runoff.
No question.
if you didn't have 10 black folks who were running. Same thing happened when the sister ran in St. Louis,
Yes.
when a whole bunch of men wouldn't drop out.
Yeah.
The point I'm making there is it's understanding power and how you use it. And to think that Montgomery, 60% black, and you've never had a black mayor, crazy.
When you look at all the votes around the Black Belt, from eastern Texas to southern Virginia, that is the concentration of African Americans. We see lack of representation in Mississippi, lack of representation in Alabama, lack of representation in Louisiana. I mean, there is no accident that this is occurring. But it is about us, and it's on us to collectivize and to understand that this is where it's at. This is where we have our power base, and we can make real and substantive changes if we get to that point.
Speaking of that, politics is going to be our next topic when we come back from this break. Democrats, 10 of them are going to be standing on stage in Houston, September 12th, Texas Southern University. I wonder if any of them are going to talk about how TSU even got created. I wonder if any of them will talk about the funding of TSU in Texas. I'm going to get to all of that when we come back. This is Roland Martin Unfiltered. Back in a moment. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. All right, folks, you heard me talk a lot about marijuanastock.org. Why? Because I want to keep you informed of investment opportunities that make sense. We've all watched the growth of the cannabis industry. A recent report by New Frontier Data estimates the global cannabis market at over $340 billion. We know that marijuana legalization is sweeping the country state by state. We also know that marijuana has a good cousin, the hemp plant, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, that changed with the 2018 Farm Bill, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and thus creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. Of course, what do they need? Land to grow all of the plants, and that's where the folks with 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. Now, what they've done for the folks at Roland Martin Unfiltered, they allow you to invest as little as $200 up to $10,000. Originally, it was $500 to participate in this crowdfunding campaign. And again, this is a $340 billion industry that is still growing, and you can participate with as little as $200. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. You can get in the game and get in the game now. All right, folks, let's talk a little politics. Of course, ABC has announced all the participants of the September 12th debate that will take place at TSU in Houston. Go to my iPad, please. This is the graphic here. You have Senator Amy Klobuchar, Senator Cory Booker, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Senator Bernie Sanders, Vice President Joe Biden, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Kamala Harris, Andrew Yang, former Congressman Beto O'Rourke, and former Congressman Julian Castro. Of course, taking place September 12th. 8 to 11. It's going to be airing on ABC, Univision, as well as going to take place at TSU, 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 to 11 Eastern. Now, there's not going to be a second night because only 10 qualify. The DNC, of course, had their rules. You had to be at least 2% in the polls and get 130,000 donors from a certain number of states. All the other candidates are bitching and moaning because they didn't qualify. Look, ain't our problem. Don't nobody like you, John Delaney? Don't nobody know your ass.
You've been getting paid for 2 years.
Okay, you're right. You the first one in. You the first one announcing.
Paid for 2.
Okay, it's on you, pimp. We don't know you.
We don't want to know you.
Tulsi Gabbard, we don't want you.
You say we don't want that.
Okay, all these people, Michael Bennett in Colorado, say dog, we don't know you. Okay, de Blasio, all these people y'all are polling 0 to 1.5%. Look, it's simple. It's only a certain number of people. This it. This it right here. Now, the deal is, nobody's telling them to stop campaigning.
Right.
Yep.
Okay? Y'all just won't be in the debate. You know why? Because we don't know y'all. And here's the piece. Of the people here, I'm going to tell y'all right now, if you want to be considered a top Democrat, you better be able to get black votes. Buttigieg is on this list. He polling around 0 to 1% of black people.
That's true.
And the rest of these folks, this is real simple. That is, you better learn how to appeal to who the Democratic voters are. It's going to be at TSU, HBCU, public university, born out of segregation.
That's right.
Heman Sweat could not go to the University of Texas law school, so therefore they said create one at TSU. That's what led to the creation of Texas Southern University. And I really do hope that these folks with ABC, and I really hope the candidates utilize local issues. Now, granted, I'm from Houston. My high school, Jackie's High School, is right across the street from TSU. What people also don't realize is that there is a public housing complex called the CUNY Homes, which is right across the street. Not down the street, literally right across the street. You got a gentrifying neighborhood. You've got University of Houston not far. You've got, again, high school. You got all these different issues. I really hope they bring that to bear in this debate and then not become this conversation as if what's happening there, what's happening at TSU is a microcosm. I wonder if you're going to have somebody challenge Governor Greg Abbott in Texas to give more resources to TSU. See, to me, those are the kind of things that should come out in one of these debates where you utilize what's happening locally as a part of this conversation.
Wait, please.
No, it's about making the theoretical actual, right? I mean, what you're proposing is a brilliant campaign solution. Let's hope somebody's listening, right? Because what better way to bring this to bear, right? I mean, you're in a HBCU, you're in a city that's got a lot of struggles, you're in a community that has a lot of struggles. Put your money where your mouth is, right? Put your feet where your ideas are. Go there, talk to people. It's not very difficult. I mean, they did it in Florida when they went down to the detention center. They did it in Detroit, at least I'd heard a couple of them did it, when they went and had community meetings and talked to people out there. But bringing those local issues would have a significant impact, especially in a place like Texas. But we don't know. I mean, we don't know if this is going to happen. We can kind of assume and maybe cross our fingers, but that kind of is a microcosm of the whole ballgame.
And Third Ward, where TSU is a perfect example of really Black America historically. You literally have this row of homes on McGregor that are $500,000 to $1 million homes. And then you have a public housing complex that's about 6 blocks away. And so again, to me, when you talk about the issues that are important that people should talk about in this debate, that literally that community has all of that, where you have this public university, TSU, that has to fight desperately for funding. You got the University of Houston that's literally 2 blocks away, where Tillman Fertitta, who owns the Houston Rockets and who is, of course, own Landers, is putting millions of dollars, gleaming new stadium facilities and all of that. I mean, I'm talking when I say like 2 blocks, like literally, you could be on TSU campus and you can go, there's University of Houston. Wow. It's all of that in a 3 or 4 block area.
Well, no, go, please.
I was going to say, no, what I'm nervous about is that this is just window dressing. We're going to go to this historically Black school, but we ain't going to talk about the real issues. We're going to talk about everything else. I think climate change is important. We should talk about it. But I think we should be talking about, at a historically Black university, education, making sure these schools are well funded, and what's going on in the Black community. My fear is because people have spoken at NAACP, they think that Black issues are over. They think, yeah, I've checked this box, and let's move on to the next.
No, sure. I mean, it's interesting that you say that. I mean, we're in Texas. This is debated in Texas. There are 2 candidates with prominent Texas ties, Beto O'Rourke and the former HUD Secretary Castro. If you're trying to make a statement to get into that top 4, because it looks like it's pretty well established that Joe Biden is the front runner, in part because of, I hate to say it, but I'll say it here just to be candid, Black ignorance. We have to have educated Black voters to look at these folks. You can't just vote on somebody because he was with Obama, this kind of thing. But then you've got, of course, Elizabeth Warren, who seems like she may be displacing Bernie Sanders. If she starts pulling from Sanders, although they do have some, different voter base, she could maybe catch, because the progressive candidates, and you can add in Kamala Harris, that is a higher percentage than Joe Biden. And Joe Biden has reached his ceiling. If anything, he's coming back to earth. But the breakout for this debate would be based, if they were listening to you, Roland, it could be based on exactly what you've laid out. Cory Booker may be the best one to approach this from a kind of urban challenge, gentrification point, even though you can be critical of his record in Newark as mayor of Newark. But it seems to me Castro would be the one to take up exactly this conversation.
I feel like that. No,
I don't know. I mean,
I honestly do.
You would think?
Well, I mean, if he's smart, that's what I mean. I don't know.
No, but he's broached other subjects in other debates. I think he gets it. I like to think that he gets it. I think that he has really struggled. And I'm going to go back to this whole debate, like the criteria. If you poll at 2%, why are you running for president? Okay?
Well, first of all,
It
we just saw Kirsten Gillibrand, senator, yesterday drop out because she couldn't get above 2%. She had a $10 million war chest.
My God.
Blew through it all. Got 800 grand left, and all you had to show for it was about a point and a half.
Well,
We
that's
have-
been running since like a year and a half ago. She's been running almost since.
Right, but it's like, boo, I mean, at some point, maybe 6 months ago, this really ain't it. Let me save some of those millions.
But you know what? People still, I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if they think they
all
really
ego.
have a new voice to add out there. But I feel like people should have been making these relationships and ties to the black community a long time ago.
Absolutely.
And if you want to play catch up now, good luck to you. I agree with what you said. A lot of people like Biden simply because of the halo effect from Obama.
Sure.
That's not enough.
It can't.
No, but you know what? But here's the
right.
the reason I'll push back on that some. Here's it. I've been to NAACP. I've been to Urban League. I've been to these places where Biden has spoken. First of all, it's only one. I think he's the only one. But when you stand up and say, "I'm a lifetime member of the NAACP," when you can actually stand up before you speak and literally name 30, 40, 50, 60, almost 100 people.
Sure.
It's relationships.
No,
what black the thing that I think a lot of these candidates don't understand, and again, and I'm including the black folks, is that for black folks it's relationships. It's not just policies. I think one of the issues that people have with Senator Bernie Sanders, it's not that what you're saying, it's where have you been? See, have you been talking to us all of these years? Now, granted, we know you're a senator from Vermont. Look, I look at how Cory Booker is doing. Here's what I think Senator Cory Booker didn't do. If I was Senator Cory Booker and I came to the U.S. Senate, I would have sat here and locked down Black America. I would have been doing every black syndicated radio show at least twice a year.
Interesting.
I would have understood the infrastructure in Black America. As somebody who has the news segment on the Tom Joyner Morning Show, I can tell you right now, him and Harris did not do that.
And I think
and that's the craziest thing in the world.
They've taken us for granted because they are black themselves.
That's
Automatically,
right.
we're going to be drawn to them. Automatically,
That's
I'm going to vote for
But it's
Harris.
called putting the work in.
Well-
and I think with Biden, the difference with Biden is he's done that over the years. So when Biden comes, it ain't like he brand new.
Let me ask you, Roland.
See, I think that's what the difference there is. And you throw in Obama. Oh, hell, Doc.
but-
But he's been around for 40 years.
Right, well,
he comes
that's-
from Delaware,
that's what I
which
was
got a
gonna-
lot of black folks.
that's what I was gonna say.
Biden, despite his flaws,
But you got to work it.
he's
That's my
a
point.
politician. He has worked it. He
That's
is a
right.
politician. He knows it's not just, you're right, it's not just about having good policies and saying the right things. He's built those relationships. But you know what? How much does it cost to become a lifetime member of NAACP? How much does it really cost?
Yeah, that's not.
It don't cost much. That's what I'm saying. This ain't
but
hard.
Roland,
Greg, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you because Rashonda makes a very, very important point. I mean, Biden at his age, Biden with the demographic that has keep sending him back to the Senate, and Biden as a Democrat over the last 2 generations, how much of his familiarity is that kind of black middle class leadership familiarity? And as far as Booker is concerned, and as far as Kamala Harris is concerned, sadly, they're taking their playbook in part from Barack Obama.
Right.
Who did the very same thing.
Which worked in 08
and won't never work again.
That's true, too.
That's exactly right.
And look, and if y'all take that playbook, y'all should have been listening to me for the last 5 years. I say it consistently. The next person who's black who runs for president will not be able to run a campaign the way Obama did in
That's
2008.
exactly right.
And the last thing I say this here before, Joseph, I go to your point, I go to the next story. To all these young people who are saying, I ain't down with Biden. I don't know what these old people are. I'm going to tell y'all a story that then Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. told me. There were a group of young black folks in Chicago who came to Jesse Jackson Jr. And they said, man, if you don't do this, we're going to throw you out of office. This is what Junior said. He said, I don't give a shit what y'all think. He said, you see that building right there? He said, that's an assisted living facility. He said, all them old black people, especially them old black women, they all vote. That's who put my ass in office. He said, this is what he told me. He said, the day y'all turn out like they do is the day I'm going to listen to what you got to say.
That's the lesson.
And people sit, and I'm telling you, you can say whatever you want. You can sit here and trip, and you can say that ain't right. But what Joe Biden is understanding right now is all black folks vote.
That's so true.
Melanie Campbell, we did the, they were 2018, we did the live stream when they were doing the phone calls to folks in Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
One sister called, and the woman, she was nice. She said, baby, look, you ain't got to call me. You gonna go and call somebody else. She said, I ain't voting early. I've already called my daughter. She's picking me up at this time on election day. So save your breath and call somebody else.
That's true.
The reason Joe Biden is leading,
That's true,
is because older black folks, his numbers are sky high.
That's true.
Because they are going to vote.
That's true.
And if you are 18 to 40, and you sitting here saying, I want to see who impresses me, I'm telling you right now, the reason they are not necessarily talking to you because your numbers are not corresponding with turnout. Primaries are different than generals.
That is true.
Primaries, you targeting who is going to turn out, Joseph, and that's why I think people don't understand, and it's nothing against young folks. But old folks, look, my parents are 72.
Yep.
Every election day.
No, they work elections.
Oh.
They are the precinct. They work them. They ain't just say, hey, wait a minute. My parents moved from Houston to Dallas. All the politicians in Dallas are my parents. Why? Because they work.
They work.
72. All I'm saying.
My mama 91, and she will be voting. She does not miss the vote.
No, that's all I'm saying. Joseph, final point next door.
Ask Doug Jones. He'll tell you.
No,
Doug Jones in Alabama will tell you that this is who he targeted because they vote.
Yeah.
And it worked. And that's where it's at. I mean,
and it wasn't just black women, because 92% or 93% of black men voted for Doug Jones.
Oh, sure.
that's right.
Yeah.
Black women were trying at a higher rate than everybody else did, black men as well. And speaking of that, folks, real soon, I'm working on this right now, we're going to be holding a series of town halls around the country with these candidates, black men only. Oh, see, y'all didn't realize that. See, I decided to go ahead and announce this right now. I have bounced this off of at least 6 candidates. Only one has responded saying that they would do it. I ain't gonna tell you who it is until we actually do it. But I personally, listen, Roland's personally bounced it off of 6. Only one has said, no, here's the date I want to do it. Why am I doing that? Because in all the black girl magic and all the other stuff, black men are asking questions that people are not necessarily answering. And so we're going to be putting this thing on. I'm putting a coalition together, but we are going to have the town halls asking the questions. And it ain't going to be just middle-class black men, fraternities. Anybody's going to be invited. But the whole point is what is happening out there with black men. Because trust me, the White House, that's who they are targeting. The White House is specifically targeting black men in 22, and I'll give you more of those details as they become available. Folks, the video has gone viral of a Mississippi voter trying to vote for the candidate of his choice, but the machine keeps changing. Look at what happened.
Let's see here. No.
How would that happen?
I don't know, it's in the machine. It's the same
It is not letting me vote for who I want to vote for.
The voter in the video is trying to click the box next to retired state Supreme Court Justice Bill Waller Jr.'s name on the touchscreen of an electronic voting machine, only to have an X appear next to Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves' name. This voter was one of more than a dozen people in Mississippi who reported machine glitches when they tried to vote. We'll be watching out for this, folks, because we've heard this same thing in Georgia and other places, especially in the places where they don't have paper ballots. And so, of course, the civil rights organizations like Lawrence Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, they also are watching out for this as well. Folks, Braxton Ryback and Johnny Young were recently arrested by Las Vegas police after threatening to shoot up the XS nightclub in Wynn, Las Vegas. Police were told that Ryback and Young were shouting white privilege, white power, we are white supremacists, and locking their fists like they were going to hit people. Police were also told that the men told security they were going to come back and shoot the place up. Young then allegedly returned to the hotel casino with pepper spray based on numerous witness statements and the fact that Young specifically stated he would return with a gun. Both of them are being charged with making terroristic threats. Yeah, they would throw your ass in prison, in jail for that. And so people better realize these white supremacists are real. Trump is emboldening these people to say what the hell they want to say. I'm just saying this thing is happening.
Yes, sir, brother. I mean, it's 100th anniversary of the Red Summer. They're going to come up on the right one of these days.
Keep telling you. I keep telling people this thing is going to happen. Like, y'all keep playing games with this thing, but y'all going to roll up on somebody who's also packing with a gun, who legally carry it, and there's going to be some bloodshed. They're like, what happened?
Right.
You start hollering white power.
That's wrong.
Somebody going to make you show it.
This crew here ain't going to kneel down and pray.
Now, these young
I'm just
kids,
letting y'all know.
say, enough
Y'all
if you
know.
buck, brother.
I'm
Enough
just
if
letting
you
y'all know. All right, got to go to a break. We come back. More Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. November 7th through 11th, I want y'all to roll with me to Cabo, folks. We're going to have a great time. Life Lux Jazz Experience. Top-notch music, unbelievable food, libations. Y'all know I don't drink, but y'all can go ahead and drink. And, of course, golf, spa, wellness, all that good stuff at Omnia Day Club Los Cabos, nestled on the Sea of Cortez in the celebrity playground of Los Cabos, Mexico. We're going to have a great time. I'm one of their ambassadors. Of course, it's going to be an amazing. All of these jazz artists are going to be performing, folks, over the 4 days, which is crazy. Mark Curry, he's going to be actually the host of all of this thing. Then, of course, you have my frat Gerald Albright, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madan, Incognito, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donna McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Funkin' for Jamaica, Ronnie Laws, and Ernest Quarles. It is an unbelievable schedule, folks, of concerts every single night. You don't want to miss this. Package is starting at $1,300 and going all the way up to more than $2,000, depending upon, of course, the hotel you're staying at. And so we're going to be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered that Thursday and Friday from the location there. And so I want you to come hang out with us. And also, my birthday is like a few days later, so we can actually make it a birthday party and a jazz experience. So for more details, go to lifeluxjazz.com, LIFELUXE jazz.com. It's going to be a great time had by all. Trust me, packages are running out. We want you to get there. And so we're going to have a fabulous, fabulous time. And you know what? I might even crack out me a Kente linen short set. I'm just saying.
Oh, short set.
I might crack out the Kente linen short set. We'll see. We'll see what we do. All right, y'all. North Carolina man who was arrested in January for brutally punching an 11-year-old black girl has been convicted of 2 misdemeanors. Remember this video from earlier this year?
Oh, I can't stand this. Is too much, man.
All right. First of all, y'all know it's a bunch of young black girls around there.
No question. And no
If it was some bros,
Come on, bro.
wouldn't need the cops.
Let him go.
Bill received a
No question about that.
60-day suspended sentence, has been placed on unsupervised probation for the next 12 months.
No.
He'll be required to complete anger management counseling and participate in a racial justice workshop within the next 90 days. He will also be responsible for paying a court fee of less than $200.
That's assault. He should be in prison.
And Eric Gartner died for selling loose cigarettes
Died.
on the streets.
I mean, you know, this is unfiltered. I would say, let him go. Go on out in the street. And let's find out how long he's unsupervised. Because you don't do nothing like that and walk the streets and not look behind you every second for the rest of your natural life. Because if that was my sister, I'm going to tell you right now, y'all might as well put the cuffs on me because I'm going to erase the whole bottom of his chinless face.
But
Wow.
no, the thing is, I don't think he feels any remorse. He
No, he doesn't. He gonna have to have remorse imposed on him. Let him go walk the street. Because that right there, you don't handle that in the court of law. Not in this country.
An 11-year-old girl.
No. Did you see that? Can you imagine?
No.
No.
I want to know. I want to know how the judge arrived at
No,
this
that's all right.
decision.
The judge don't impose that law. I'm telling you, brother. Let him walk.
All right, street justice.
No question.
About time for it. But
Because that right there, no, brother. No,
See,
you don't do that.
But I just want to know, how do you arrive at the result that you get this man spending temporary time in prison, go to a racial justice class for
because he sees
for
him as a human
cold-cocking-
being, and he sees those two black girls as not being human. Because if it
Exactly.
had been a black man that done that, he'd been under the jail.
And she's a child. I mean, like,
That's exactly right.
You can't call security. Let her. I mean, what, she's going to get in your face and talk smack?
Well,
you have to like walk around like that.
What is walk away? I mean, this
Because
is
obviously
you're a grown man.
let me
Obviously,
be very
he
clear.
ain't man enough for that.
We're in a society where we're not protecting our children. That video was a bunch of black girls. Like you said, bro, if there was an adult out, listen, no, let him walk the streets. Look, at some point, we got to draw the line. We have to draw the line. We're going to be we're shot down like dogs with impunity. It's like torture porn now. They just show video after video. At some point, this guy, you know what? Go ahead. No time served. No. Go ahead. Go with God and see if he gets 5 steps out the courthouse.
Yeah, it's again, no jail time. That's a real issue. All right, folks, our final topic here. We may not have enough time to talk about it, but I'm going to squeeze it in best that we can. So Netflix has a new special from Dave Chappelle called Sticks and Stones. That's gotten all kind of folks talking left and right. In fact, if y'all can find the trailer for me, I certainly appreciate that. What's unbelievable about this is that, I mean, he skewers everybody. He's talking about LGBT, opioid crisis. He's talking about Michael Jackson's accusers, R. Kelly. I mean, but was unbelievable. He comes out and even talks about Anthony Bourdain's suicide.
Brother.
It is as if nothing is off limits for Dave Chappelle. Now, you got people who are saying he's misogynistic, people who are saying he's homophobic, people who are saying he's crazy, he's out of his mind, that he's dead wrong for this comedy special. Now, all people here, I've seen it, Greg has seen it, Deshandra and Joseph have not. But I do want to talk about this here because, and then it was interesting is that he lays out in there the cancel culture.
Yeah, he does.
Where he says, y'all are the problem, y'all get on my damn nerves, which is why I don't do a lot of comedy, because y'all want to cancel somebody. It is as if he takes on, I don't want to say political correctness, but he takes on this whole notion that comedians have to watch what they say and they can't offend anybody.
Right. No, man, listen, man, as a classroom teacher, nearing my 30th year in the classroom, when he opens up with a dark screen and you hear him, I was dreaming when I wrote this. From the moment he opens up with Prince, almost as if this is the disclaimer for everything that's about to come after. And he goes through Anthony Bourdain. He said, this man, with this job, hung himself in a luxury hotel and then goes immediately into a story about a guy he knew from the hood who went all the way to the Ivy League and ends up at Foot Locker and then says, but you know, at no moment did this brother ever think about killing himself. It is a master class. And first of all, he takes race out of it. I mean, Roland, that line where he has, and I'm going to give it away, y'all did when you see it, where they go in and tell him he can't say the F word in his skit, and then he says, okay, and he says, wait a minute, what about the N word? And he said, well, you're not an F. He said, I'm not an N either. Genius. And this LGBTQ, understand now, I can understand why people in the LGBTQIA community might be offended, and they say, but here's the thing. He talks about the LGBTQIA community. He talks about that community in reference to itself. He doesn't say anything in the external critique of them as he takes every one of those letters and put it in conversation with the other letter. It's a tour de force.
So the reason I was playing golf a few months ago, and I mentioned George Lopez, and I know George very well, played in his golf tournament. And the guy I was playing with, he's like, man, he pissed me off when he had his comedy set, and he told that black joke, well, Latinos don't bring nobody black home, and then he said, and then he got mad at a woman who's an artist and threw her out. And I said, so have you heard any black comedians talk about don't bring no white girl home, or don't bring no white boy home? I said, dude. He said, why aren't you mad? I said, cause it's a comedian. See, the thing is, for me, I have seen all kinds of comedians. I have seen them in person. I've seen them on television. I've seen black, white, Hispanic. I've seen gay, straight. It runs the gamut. For me, that's what comedy does. Comedy pisses people off. Comedy steps on toes. Comedy, as Dr. Freddie Haynes would say, bow down your alley, sit in your pew. Comedians say things. They dog everybody. They trash everybody. So we have the trailer. So we're going to play the trailer. I want to come back and get y'all thoughts on where are we with comedy today with people who are so, I believe, touchy. So here's the Netflix trailer for the Dave Chappelle
This
special.
is Dave. He tells jokes for a living. Hopefully, he makes people laugh. But these days, it's a high-stakes game. How did we get here, I wonder? I don't mean that metaphorically. I'm really asking, how did Dave get here? I mean, what the fuck is this? But what do I know? I'm just Morgan Freeman. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you say anything, you risk everything. But if that's the way it's gotta be, okay, fine, fuck it. He's back, folks.
That's the setup, Joe Nishandra, to the special.
All right, I'm a little too cheap for Netflix, but I'm going to have to get just like a 1 month free trial.
Why don't you go by somebody's house who got Netflix, and y'all can have dinner.
That's how you
Or just ask someone for the password. Listen, I mean,
there you go.
comedy is satire. I mean, obviously, they're going to go for our sacred cows. That's what gets people, that's what gets a rise. That's what gets their name out there. I get it. I understand it. But I do want to talk about cancel culture. You can say anything you want, but people can have a backlash. That's how this works.
That's true. It's true.
But he addresses that. I mean, he addresses it by saying, okay, I'm gonna go back in your life and look at everything you've done, and I'm gonna reach back and I'm gonna cancel you today. And the thing to me, I mean, I think about look at Eddie Murphy. So there's a story saying Eddie Murphy's negotiating with Netflix to do a massive comedy special. You go back and look at Delirious and Raw. Okay. If you go back and look at, if y'all have not seen Eddie Murphy Delirious and Raw, if you go back and look at it today, Joseph, in today's context, from then, I mean,
he was the biggest star in the world for saying some that you could not get away with today.
Oh, no question.
Richard Pryor, right? The master at breaking taboos. I mean, he started off in the footsteps of Bill Cosby and then took a dark turn, which made him a star. I mean, he used to be like telling dad jokes, and then he became this dude who said what was on his mind, including race, including culture, including sexuality.
Oh, sexuality.
And it just made him a comedy genius.
But I guess, again, for me, what I don't understand is I don't go to a comedy show like it's a lecture. I don't go to a comedy show like it's a speech. It's not. It is a comedy show. Comedians take those things, to your point, that are sacred, and they say, okay, you can't talk about that. Comedians like, watch me. That's the deal. And I'm not. And here's the deal. I've hosted comedy shows. I've been in front of many comedians.
You say comedians on every week.
Right. It's no different. It's no different than when. It's no different than when I've emceed events. And part of the thing about being an MC is you got to know how to keep the ball moving. You got to keep people awake. And I'm ripping on folks. Straight up. I remember I did the Executive Leadership Council dinner one time.
Respectability politics, right?
I think, right. Oh, hold on. That was real respectable. It was like 3,000 of them in there. Y'all, they had a script that was about this thick.
My goodness.
And they want us to go to rehearsal. I'm like, I ain't going to no rehearsal for the MC a banquet, y'all. This ain't that hard. And so it came to the script. I'm like, Sean Gables was the co-MC. I was like, we ain't reading from that script. She's like, what we gonna do? I like, just follow me. I said, that's a guide. So we're in the green room. We walk in, and Colin Powell, he's in there. So I walk in. He's like, oh, there's that ugly man. I said, your ass might be a 4-star general, but I'll cut your ass. Oh, he crack up laughing. Now that was in the green room. Now when I went on that damn stage, I retold that damn joke.
How about that?
And then, Magic Johnson got an award. I was like, listen here, Magic ain't trying to get the tape Washington. We're looking on damn business plan tonight. They'll be trying to give him your stuff. And then Emmitt Smith was there. And everybody know I hate the Cowboys with a passion. I hate the Cowboys more than I hate the Klan. Okay, I hate the Cowboys.
That's a
that
deep
much.
hatred, brother.
I hate the Cowboys that much.
Does it get any
so
deeper?
Emmett was there, and I was like, yeah, Emmitt Smith, yeah, Super Bowl champion. I was like, Emmett, do me a favor, lean the hell back so I can look at your white packs. I can't stand the Cowboys. Oh, we ripping on everybody. And then, so for example, so Sean Gable tried to crack on me. She's like, look, you need to work out. And I leaned back, looked at her butt, and I was like, you need to work out too. Everything was on the table. Everything. But the one that I really thought about, I thought I was about to, I cracked on Kwame Kilpatrick. I had 2 cell phones. And Sean like, why you have 2 cell phones? I said, Kwame should have had 2 cell phones.
Whoa.
The room just, now he was crazy. The front third of the room cracked up laughing. I was like, oh shit. I was like, uh-oh. But then the second third cracked up because the first third told the second thing, like, what'd he say? It was a rolling joke. That joke literally rolled from, it was 3,000 people from the front of the back of the room.
My God.
When you're there, yo, you crack anything that's available. Anything that's available, you crack on. Bishop Charles Blake at the MLK 50 deal. They told me, Roland, we go stall. Okay, Bishop Blake came in. I was like, Bishop, how many cats with you? Jesus only had 12 disciples. Your entourage is 30.
Yes, sir.
Was like, Chris Tucker was like, damn.
That's barbershop humor.
But the point
He would
is,
say that. Yeah.
when you're in that space, that's a part of it. I just don't get people who go to comedy shows and go, oh my God, I can't believe you went there. That's what comedians do.
But these aren't people who are going to the show. They're watching it after the fact or critiquing it as unfair. No,
they're sitting in the show. No, there are people who are sitting in shows.
You're talking about the Netflix show. You're talking about the Netflix.
I'm not talking about this Netflix. I'm talking about people who actually go to comedy shows and get, this is not funny. This is not fun. You came.
You came. You paid your money to come here.
You came to a comedy show.
That's right.
That's what comedians do.
That's right.
I mean, you don't know what a comedian's gonna come out of their mouth.
But
I just don't. I think that people are sensitive as hell. I think people today don't know how to laugh, and I fundamentally believe no one is off limits.
Yeah.
No one. Black people not off limits.
No.
White people, Latinos, Asians, Native American. Nobody is off limits.
No.
That's the beauty of the comedy stage.
No. Well, I think, to Deshaun's point, what you just observed, people are watching this. The consumer base is huge. And to Joe's point, I mean, Pryor could not, you can go on YouTube and see the Richard Pryor roasts. The roast on sexuality between him and Paul Mooney.
Oh, my God.
Man, you can't, but there was no social media then. Things have changed in that regard. But even the clip that we all saw, the trailer, Dave Chappelle, I don't know what's going through his mind, but in terms of inheriting the mantle of a Pryor, or before that of a Lenny Bruce, or coming forward, unlike Murphy and them, Dave Chappelle seems to have struck upon a rhythm where he says, okay, I am truly going to be this watershed comedian in this age. Because think about it with this, just the trailer we saw. Morgan Freeman, with the cancel culture that came for him. To have Morgan Freeman doing that voiceover and then the voice of God then say, fuck it, this ain't no accidental thing, Dave Chappelle. He's going for cancel culture. I think that's really what he's going at.
Because what we're seeing now, Deshaundre, we're seeing comedians saying, they're refusing to play on college campuses.
Right.
Because college students are like, oh my God, you joked about that. I just think, to me, what makes comedy so different is I can escape all this other bullshit, okay, and go to a show and just laugh. And they will rip on, to me, they will rip on people you like and people you don't like. They will rip on, if you saw the late Patrice O'Neal, eviscerate, all kinds of stuff. I just think that when we start treating comedians as if they are lecturers and politicians, we lose.
It really, no, I would say social commentary is hard for people to listen because they're not just being funny, they're giving you social commentary.
That's true.
And a lot of people ain't ready and they ain't receptive to hear it. Point blank.
I'm not gonna call it social commentary. Because I think that's the problem. I think what has happened is, and this is, now the reason why I think Bill Maher's different. Because Bill Maher wants to play both sides from the middle.
Yeah, he does.
Bill Maher wants to be taken seriously as a show host,
Yes.
but then go, nope, I'm a comedian. No, Bill, you gotta pick.
That's right.
You gotta pick. Because if you're the show host, rules are different. If you're the comedian, rules are different. And that's the piece. Rules are different based upon where you are. people say, well, Roland, how can you criticize that when Michael Richard, when he went off? I said, no, here was a difference. Michael Richard left the stage. Michael Richard attacked a person who was there directly. Michael Richard was not operating within the confines of his talent. I've seen comedians within the confines of their talent eviscerate a heckler.
That's true.
That's different. Richard went a whole.
He used a blunt instrument, basically. He used a shotgun. And
he
beat
called
somebody upside
He called
the head.
you an N-word. He attacked that guy and went off on him. Right. Versus,
it was anger. I mean, he was angry. He was looking to hurt that
There
dude,
you go.
And he was looking to make a point. But the one thing that I'll say really quickly, and then I'll shut up, is that a couple days ago on YouTube, a friend of mine sent me a Dave Chappelle routine, and it was so funny. It speaks to this point because he said he was at home, 9/11 happened, and then CNN cut to Ja Rule, right? And Chappelle says, wait, what? And so he went on this whole riff. It's like, okay, something important happened. Let me call Ja Rule and see what he thinks. It's like, why are we even listening to this dude about anything? He's a comedian. I mean, even Chappelle, to a degree, you can say he's a comic. You know, whatever he says, why are you taking it seriously? Because this is what
I don't know.
he tells
I'm
jokes
like Deshaun. This guy, his social commentary.
You can choose to take it that way.
But I don't know how he seems like he's feeling out this territory.
I know what he's doing.
In Bill Maher's case, Bill Maher is not funny. He ain't no good host, quite frankly. Yeah. But in Chappelle's case, yeah, I'm a comedian. Dude, you more than a comedian, to your point. And I think you're aware of that.
But he is. But here's what I think, to Joseph's point, what he's saying. What he's saying is, I'm going to comment on these things through comedy from the stage. Mm-hmm. Dave is not consistently talking about Trump, the Democratic candidate.
No, that's true. He didn't even mention Trump one time.
He's not.
Good
so
point.
the difference is when you're a comedian and you step outside of your job as a comedian, and now all of a sudden you want to become a political commentator.
That's a good point.
And now you want to become
and take it seriously.
A go-to. Right. So, for instance, D.L. Hughley is in a different space. Because the reality is, even though D.L. Hughley is a comedian, even though he is host of his own radio show, because D.L. does these shows and is talking about social issues, commentary, he's now in a different space. So when D.L. says something, even as a comedian, bruh, you can't do this.
Interesting.
See, you can't. See, the hop and the back and forth is the problem. Dave is saying, I'm a comedian. I'm going to use the stage and the mic to speak to these issues through a comedic prism. But, to me, the rules are different.
What would you do with our dear elder, now ancestor, Dick Gregory?
Oh, I still think different. Because, see, Dick made the conscious decision. Dick was a comedian.
Straight comedian.
Then Dick made the conscious decision to become an activist. The moment Dick became an activist, it changed the equation because he was. So even though Dick still did comedy,
but it was also informed. That's the difference. It was informed.
No, I get informed. What I'm saying is, it's rules. It's rules.
Yeah.
How do I perceive you? I perceive Dave Chappelle differently than I do DL.
Oh, no question.
Differently than Bill Maher. Yep. Because I think when you walk into this space, it's no different than when. Why has the black pulpit been what it is, so powerful? Because when you're speaking within the confines of the pulpit, the problem is when you try to become a politician and a preacher. See, now
you're operating in two different contexts.
And now I'm receiving you in a different way.
Who is that? Bill Gray, Adam Clayton Powell. I'm trying to think of people who Calvin Butts never made the complete commitment to politics.
Right. So the point is, when you step outside of your lane, the rules are now different. Because see, now how am I receiving you? Are you talk? So, for instance, Reverend Barbara can speak to me through a preacher, through a preacher prism.
Sure.
Once you choose to become a politician, now, okay, how you talking to me? Are you preacher or are you politician?
But going back to
lanes.
But going back to the college students, you know, some comedians don't want to. College students don't see those two sets of rules. They don't see the different. It's all one thing to them.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And the problem is they are going to comedy shows treating them as if they're going to lectures and their comedy shows. And that's why I'm with the comedians who said, don't book me for no doggone college campuses, because I want to be able to do my craft. And when Chris Rock talks about how you work through a joke, that's the other thing, which is why they hate being videotaped. Because a dude who's trying to work through a joke, they trying to refine it,
no question.
or a woman trying to refine it, they may hit 12, 15 shows before that joke is just right. Now we're determining the value of your joke based upon
that one
time. And so that's why a lot of comedians right now are frustrated. So really what I think Dave is doing with this, Dave is saying, you know what, I've watched all this sort of crap. Y'all come on.
Yeah, that's clear.
What Dave is saying,
that's true.
Y'all come on. First of all, Netflix done paid him damn near $100 million.
Yeah, he good.
So he good.
He good.
But what he's saying is, Dave is saying, y'all come on. Come hit me with all of this. It ain't no shock. It drops in August. He gets the Mark Twain Prize at the Kennedy Center in October, the highest award for comedy.
That's right.
It ain't no surprise. And I think what he's now saying is, come at me. Let me see how y'all come at me. So for the rest of y'all who behind me, now y'all can just do y'all thing. Because guess what?
I
took all the arrows.
Very interesting.
That's what I think he's doing. That's what I think he's doing, because you're right. Y'all gotta watch it.
Yeah, you do.
Y'all gotta watch. Don't watch it from judgment.
That's right.
Watch it. You can judge it if you want to, but I want you to watch it as a tactician.
Yeah.
How he opens up with the Prince lyric, and then he has that line, Judgment Day line.
Yes.
Opens up talking about a suicide.
Yes.
And it goes from there. How he I'm telling you, this was done on purpose, and I think he's speaking to this whole point of how we have taken the comedic stage and we have neutered it and said, no, you can't criticize anybody because everything is too sacred. And he's saying nothing is sacred.
Oh, and beyond that, celebrity. Everybody.
All of it.
Everybody. You be canceled, I be canceled, any of us.
There you go, all of it.
That's right.
All right, folks. Thank all of y'all for joining us. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Folks, don't forget to support Roland Martin Unfiltered by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com and joining our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar you give goes to support this show. Tomorrow on the show, folks, we have a fantastic conversation that will take place. Dondre Whitfield and Devon Franklin were at the Global United Fellowship in the Bahamas, and they had this unbelievable discussion about manhood. We're going to stream that for you tomorrow. Trust me, you do not want to miss this conversation. It was a powerful discussion between two brothers talking about the importance of manhood. We're going to have that for you tomorrow. And then on Monday, of course, we're off on Monday, but we're also going to have a show for you. Aisha Sasay, my interview with her, talking about her book on the sisters, Boko Haram, kidnapping those Nigerian girls and how it is still a major issue. You don't want to miss that as well. So, folks, be sure to have a great Labor Day weekend. I got some golf lined up, hanging out with the family as well. And don't forget, labor is what made Labor Day real. Labor unions. Tuesday show, we'll talk to one of our partners, AFSCME, Lee Saunders, how labor unions and the American, with polling data, are at its highest polling numbers in 50 years. That's all next week. We got some great stuff lined up for you. All right, folks, y'all have a great one. I got to go. Holla! You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is Sherry Shepherd. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, and while he's doing Unfiltered, I'm practicing the wobble. Yes, I am. Because Roland Martin's the one, he will do it backwards, he will do it on the side. He messes everybody up when he gets into the wobble, because he doesn't know how to do it, so he does it backwards. And it messes me up every single time. So, I'm working on it. I got it. You got Roland Martin.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mac Wiles, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. Martin.